myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not.
Happy Jubilee! Hey, how are you doing, lads?
Well,
I've got the crown on, I've got the Union Jack, I've got a glass of Prosecco, and I'm toasting now our very own, I'm not going to say a queen, it's a queen lookalike, Steve Hasty.
And it's only 4 o'clock.
It is, and don't worry.
I should be having a rest, shouldn't I?
Don't worry, I'm sure in the lookalikes there will be some reference to that. And yeah, look, it's a great time. And sorry for blocking you out, Mitch, but I'm sure you don't mind on this occasion. It's been a fantastic start to the Jubilee weekend. Her Majesty the Queen, of course, celebrating 70 years on the throne. And whether you're a royalist or not, it's still a fantastic achievement to see somebody who really wasn't expected to take that job on, did take it on and took it on with such commitment and aplomb, and something that we should all be very, very thankful for. And at 96 years of age, to still be doing the job that she's doing and dealing with modern day issues such as rogue grandchildren and children who misbehave on a regular basis, she has done a fantastic job. So for the very least, she deserves that. And some of you on social media will have also seen my other picture. This one, God Save the Queen, of course, one of my favourite songs by one of my favourite bands. And there's me with the lads on different occasions. John Lydon, Johnny Rotten, of course, Glenn Matlock, Steve Jones and Paul Cook. And I thought I'd fittingly wear that one as well today. So there you are. I'm fully jubileed up. I hope you are as well. I hope everyone's had such a good day. We started a little bit earlier because we're a little bit conscious of the fact that here we've all got a life to live and maybe you want to go and do something, but you probably will too. And you like to watch it live. So 4 till 6, I thought at least you'll be able to go and get your Chinese or your Indians or whatever it is and sit down in front of the telly with a family at a little bit more reasonable time. But as always, thanks for joining us. Always great to see some money in the chat. And thanks to the moderators as well. And I've got to apologise to you all for stopping the show last week because I was in a rush to get out, as you know, to see the Pet Shop Boys because Mitch had some news for us, which is now all over social media, but it was about the sponsors. Mitch, you were keen to tell us something, and of course, we had a lot of people in the chat going, Steve, what about Mitch's news? And sadly, the show was over. So, Mitch, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, I think because of the way things have happened over the last week, it's probably worth continuing it because I put it out in a tweet after the show, and it got enough sort of traction and enough people talking about it. Was that somebody had suggested to me over here that they changed tack on the shirt sponsorship and they were going with Saudi Airlines, and then that's all of a sudden it's been popped across social media quite widely. And then tied in with that was Castoria's cock-up, where they said they were going to announce the new shirt on June the 1st. And I've got a feeling somebody in Castoria's end got June and July mixed up by the sounds of it to me. But it's also raised, some good questions and I think some proper debate about, well, when does the Fun 88 sponsorship actually end? It was never made terribly clear. It was made as a multi-year deal, the same way the Puma deal was quoted as a multi-year deal, and that turned out to be actually a 1-year rolling deal with options to extend year on year. It wouldn't surprise me if the Fun 88 deal was very much like that. And looking back through historical releases from the club, it's been the 1st of July when the Fun 88 deal's been rolled on and announced that it's been rolled on. So I'm just wondering if somebody at Castoria's cocked up, got June and July mixed up. Something as simple as that. Which again is not a good look for them either, again, when we're talking about people still have concerns about quality and about the way they're going and the way they're doing things. They're now cricket manufacturers and they're now picking up another team in the Premier League and sort of suddenly they're getting bigger, quicker, and can they actually cope with it, I think is probably a valid question. There's also new pictures of an unsponsored shirt but with different badges on, so with the stick-on badge rather than the embroidered badge. Which way are they going to go on that? Or are they going to do 2 different leathers of shirts? I think if I remember right, the first year they did Rangers shirts, you could have a replica shirt in inverted commas, which had a stick-on badge, and then the team shirt in inverted commas, which was double the price, if I remember right, talking a thick end of £100, had all the embroidered badges and things like that on. So whether they're going to try and do something like that with our shirts going forward, don't know. But I think it's created a lot of interest and response and debate. To me, Saudi makes sense, because when you're talking about related parties, there is absolutely no connection between PIF and Saudi Airlines. In fact, PIF have been talking about starting their own airline as competition internally with Saudi. So it would tick a lot of boxes in terms of keeping everybody happy and getting sort of sponsorship put through in terms of getting away from these related party deals that the Premier League are now suddenly very concerned about, having had years of allowing Man City to do it with Abu Dhabi-based companies.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, so apologies again to everybody who got onto us and said, well, you cut me off and we wanted to know what was going on. I just want to say a big thank you to Paula O'Donnell and to Terry Gorman, who both joined as members on YouTube. Thanks very much for that. If you want to join as a member, it's easy to do. Just click join below. Welcome to you, Keith. And I was just apologising for last week because Mitch had that news to give about the shirt sponsor, which of course has lit up the whole Twitter sphere this week, and and then obviously we're talking about the inadvertent mistake by somebody somewhere with regards to the strip announcement. It's it was a little bit a little bit of controversy on Twitter as usual this week over those two issues.
I'm behind Mitch on that, so I didn't know what had gone on and what had gone forward. I was, again, like most people, waiting for the announcement of the sponsors and an announcement that the green and white shirt is going to be confirmed, because nobody's argued that it's going to be the blue one, the green one, and the black and white one that we've seen. But nobody's. I was listening to Mitch with interest there as to what the sponsors are going to be, and there's debate as whether it be Saudi Gulf or Saudi Airlines. But for me, I'd rather just see Aramco and just be done with it. You know what I mean? Just and see. I'd rather it was splattered with Saudi sponsors, because they're the people putting the money in. So I have no qualms about any of that. The only thing I'll do is if the white and green shirt is a shirt that comes out, I'll be buying a few and send them to a few people, because I can't wait for it.
Yeah, Steve, there's always a drama on social media, mate, and Newcastle's always bang in the centre of it, and this week hasn't been any different, mate, really.
Oh, no, I'm looking forward to getting my shirt off Keith as well. Thanks for that, Keith.
Oh, yeah, never thought of that. I am looking forward to getting mine as well. Thanks for that, Keith.
I'll get you all one. I'll buy you all.
No, yeah, you're right.
I might already have one.
I think you know. Yeah, there is always a drama. I mean, we'll get blamed for everything now. I mean, Johnny Depp comes up to Newcastle, and next thing you know, we're being blamed and people trying to link that to Saudi as well. God, man, it's crazy. But you know what? I mean, sponsorship. We've got nothing else to talk about. The season's over, and now, because Newcastle's always been a hotbed, and the interest in Newcastle has been so great, I think probably the owners are really, really starting to find this out. Probably thought that they'd be able to go on holiday or have a bit of a break, and everything would be nice and quiet until we get to the pre-season friendlies. But no, the whole maelstrom around Newcastle United just grows and grows and grows. And the interest, and I was putting past the ground earlier. I had to go up and charge a car up at behind the university buildings there. And the people outside the ground, there's people in the club shop. I stopped to get a photograph taken of the Shearer statue for you lads. I haven't sent it on yet because I haven't had the time, just so you can see how smart it looks. People stopping us, and everybody's admiring the statue, and there's a buzz around town, and it's great. And I think it's something that we haven't experienced for a long, long time, and that's what's making it exciting. But we've never had this while social media has been such a predominant and force, if you like, in and around the football club as well. And that just makes the discussions, the arguments, the angst and whatever else even greater. But roll on. Apparently, England have got a couple of games over the next few weeks, but I hadn't even noticed that because I've just been concentrating on obviously the Jubilee, Steve. I mean, I'm like you. I'm concentrating on that, but more importantly, concentrate on the goings on at Newcastle.
Yes, the Jubilee. Let's do it again. There we go, Mom.
There we go.
Fantastic. And this, well done, Keith. Well done. You got the memo. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, people just love controversy on our timeline, and that's the way that's the way it is. We've just got to accept that, and it's not going to get any better as time goes on. The good news coming out this week, Mitch, was that we got after being dropped in it by the US. People organising the friendlies for us. We've managed to confirm 3 quite quickly. Again, I feel under the previous regime, we would have still been, tapping our fingers and waiting probably until the end of June before we got anything sorted out. But that isn't the style of our new owners. And Newcastle now have Benfica away on my wedding anniversary on the 26th. The missus is not too keen on going to Portugal. I might have to go with Holly and Dave. Friday the 29th at home to Atlanta, and Saturday the 30th, Atletico Bilbao. So 3 really tasty friendlies, Mitch, already.
Yeah, and good fixtures. The Benfica one, I find the timing of that announcement interesting. When we were talking transfer window, have we been talking to Benfica about players, and is this friendly suddenly bundled in with a deal? Because that often happens, if you remember. Remember when we signed Colo, we had the friendly against Deportivo La Coruña organised, and that bizarre little trophy, which was a bridge or something, wasn't it? It was quite fantastic for a friendly game. I thought that was a great little thing. So, again, that's fueling a little bit of speculation and fueling a little bit of something. But yeah, I mean, Charlie would still be thumbing through the Thomas Cook brushes, wouldn't he? I mean, this is where it would be with the situation that we had under the previous owner. And it's frustrating, though, to have a plan in place and then be dropped in it at the last minute. Very frustrating indeed. So they've done something which they've created a similar kind of vibe in terms of having the friendlies one after the other, because if it was a tournament style, it's what they've done on the continent for years. I remember going to Barcelona's pre-season tournament called the Juan Gamper Trophy. I've been there quite a few times, me and my dad, and we used to try and plan my holidays around it almost, because you'd get 2 nights of 2 games. One ticket would get you into both games, and you had like effectively a semi-final on the first night, and then the second night was a third and fourth and a final, playoff style, and guaranteed you see, and it was always big teams like Bayern Munich, Porto, Benfica, other Spanish teams, Saint Etienne were there one year, Marseille there another year, real proper European teams playing out the pre-season style tournament at Barcelona. And that's effectively with the 2 games we've got back to back, a similar kind of feel. And an interesting way to run pre-season, but also an interesting way to experiment with the teams. And undoubtedly, on those 2 games, we'll have 2 different 11s out, and we'll see Eddie Howe having a look at different shapes, different positions, different players, etc. All makes sense to me. Newcastle United doing something vaguely organised in the pre-season just sounds fantastic, and a rare beast indeed.
Yeah, fantastic, Keith. And again, the trip away to Benfica will have people dreaming of European nights again as well, won't it? Dusting the passports off, and I'm sure that Durham passport and Liverpool passport obviously will be inundated now with passports from the northeast.
It's uncanny when you think you can get a flight to Portugal for about 80 quid return, and if you look on them dates now, they're like 300. Like there must be a lot of people spooked up for that Benfica trip, like already. But the other thing that intrigued me was, I mean, on the Benfica one, I thought it was nice to be able to go to the real Stadium of Light, probably the only credible Stadium of Light in football, and play there. So I thought it was a good touch by the club to do that. But it was uncanny. I looked at the names, and we played to play Atletico Bilbao. We must have the best day out in our football lives at Bilbao. It was a bank holiday, and they were all on a public holiday, and I've just never seen alcohol consumed like they do over there. It was an amazing trip, and to bring Bilbao over to here, I just hope we give the same sort of courtesy they give to us that day, because they treat us, they beat us, but they treat us so well that day. But it's typical, because when they lost the games that they had booked in America, how looked down. He looked a bit, nonplussed that the game had been cancelled on such short notice. But to get 3 teams of this size and stature, 2 at St James's and then 1 at the Real Stadium of Light, is just a statement. It's a statement about the current owners that they're not going to mess about. And I think there'll be a couple more tasty fixtures as well. I think we'll finish with 5 games, and if you get a couple more good ones in there, it just bodes well. And I'm not sort of being arrogant or cocky, but I think it's what we're going to come to expect. We're going to expect organisation for these people, and we're going to expect things to be done properly. I think the days of anything being done shabby, or the days of things not being organised, is gone. It's funny because when you look at some of the transfers today, people were talking about 35 million for Mings today, and I just shook my head. I just shook my head and said, I just can't see us doing that. I think maybe you might have done that in January to keep us up, but I just can't see this organisation and these people getting fixtures wrong, getting tournaments wrong, signing players that's too old. I think Newcastle's just turned the corner, and I think it's killing people.
Yeah, Steve, to get dropped in it as there had been, I think could be a blessing in disguise. I think the friendlies that they're setting up are going to be a real test of where we're at. And, we'll get on to transfers in due course, but it's going to be a great opportunity for new players to bed in and be really tested and see what level we're at, Steve. It's pointless playing friendlies against teams and winning 7 and 8-0. You want to be playing against teams that are going to give you a real test.
Yeah, and I think what's also interesting, Steve, is you want to be playing, as you say, European teams. It's all well and good going out there to America and, having a training camp and, treating it as a bit of a warm-up and, a bit of a sort of, keeping away from the social side. But from a footballing point of view, you want to be competing. You want to be playing against European football. You want to get used to, because if you've got aspirations to play in the Europa League or in the Conference League or hopefully in the Champions League in years to come, you want your players to be pitting themselves in European stadiums against European players. So that all looks well. I'm just going to check social media, Steve, and I'm probably going to have to bail you out here because obviously you just said that you're going to go on your wedding anniversary, possibly with Holly and Dave. I'll bail you out here because it's my wedding anniversary the day after, so maybe us 2 could go instead.
That's a good idea. Yeah, then Steve asked me. We can both blame each other, Steve.
Exactly.
Well, I'll just say you needed help, Steve. I'm helping you across. Yeah, because with it being compared to the Queen Mother, you're going to need it.
Well, exactly. Maybe we could get the wheelchair out, and we'll get there at the front of the queue quicker because the way things are going, you're going to have to.
I get the special assistance through the airport. You'll fly through, man. Be fantastic.
Like Al Garnett in that episode where he jumps up.
Exactly. Well, the way things are going, we'll probably have to start queuing up now.
Fantastic. Okay, let's get to a couple of questions in the chat. We always like to involve you guys if we can. Plenty of people asking about transfers and this, that, and the other. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, but basically you're suggesting Paqueta would be good alongside Bruno, which I think most of us would agree with. Tom wants to know: is Callum Wilson remains first choice? Where does this new striker and Chris Wood stand? Well, for me, Mitch, I've said this to anybody who's asked me. I believe Chris Wood will remain as part of the squad. I think Callum Wilson, a fully fit Callum Wilson, will start. And I think any new striker coming in, he has the option of either playing him up front with Callum Wilson or rotating. We just don't know what, it depends who comes in. Hugo Ekitike has been the front runner this week. Certainly at the start of the week, we heard the journalists, those of us who read maybe the likes of Craig Hope would say that it was almost a done deal at around 36 million, but then a little bit more, reticent to commit midweek, I would have said. And then as we've come into the back end of the week, it seems as if we're just simply talking agents' fees, etc. So Ekitike still seems a favourite. Talk of cold feet, I think, is again just something which is still hanging around from January. But adding into Tom's question, where does this leave Chris Wood? I personally believe Chris Wood will stay here.
Just leaves Chris Wood with a different role. And if whatever he's called, comes in, I'm not going to struggle with that pronunciation. If the young French lad comes in, he's a different type of striker. You're compare him to Wilson to Wood. You're comparing apples and pears, really. They're very different types of striker, designed to do different jobs in different setups. And one thing we've woefully lacked over the last few seasons was a plan B. We've barely had a plan A sometimes. And so to have a plan B and possibly a plan C and to be able to play different people in different roles and to show a different front, if the system's not working against a particular opposition or we want to do something different, to have those options coming from the bench is really significantly important. You want different types of striker. You don't want 3 Callum Wilsons sat there because nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to give a different look. There'll be a game where you need somebody to try and hold the ball up, where you need somebody to lean on a big centre back. Well, that's ideal with Chris Wood. That's what he's been doing for him. And so I think where does it leave him? Well, it leaves him as part of the squad, and it gives him also a challenge to up his game to force his way into the team. And that's the kind of competition we want, isn't it?
Of course it is. Of course it is. You want that kind of competition, Keith,
Yeah.
don't you?
I think you do, but I think it depends who comes after Etike. If you know, for example, the dream is to go for someone like Nunes. If they did go for a player like that, and if they could land a player like that, you then say with Wilson and Etike and another big striker, he'd probably be making Chris Wood more redundant. But as things stand, we haven't got that other striker, and even if the French lad comes in, we still looking, you know, we still need four forwards. So I say the likes of Gale and all them departing, but I think as it stands at the moment, until we sign what I'd call a proper centre forward, I think Chris Wood will remain. And naturally, I mean, I'm ambitious, and we might not be able to land the kind of players that people are rumouring. But if you could for some reason land like a Nunes type of striker, you're asking yourself how many times will Wood get out. And if Newcastle could get 10, 12 million for Wood and offload the wages, with a striker on board, you think it would happen. But like Mitch says, we're a long way off that yet. You know what I mean? And if we start the season with Etike, by another winger and Wilson, Wood will definitely be part of that squad. So.
What I think the most difficult thing, Steve, is going to be pronouncing his name, because I think we've all come up with a different way of saying it. I do quite like the way that Senshi Bat in the chat call. I think we'll just call him Eki. I think we'll just call him Eki. We can all get out of jail. He's going to get called etiquette, etc. Anything that sounds like it. Ekateki. But yeah, we'll come to that if he signs. But Steve, yeah, I mean, Chris Wood, I think he'll stay. And what have you made of the whole Eki transfer thing this week? Because it has been one of those roller coaster rides, hasn't it? Again.
Yeah, if he comes in and starts putting his weight about, we'll call him Eki Thump, wouldn't we? You know, so. But no, I love the juxtaposition there with the lads. I think what we haven't had for quite a number of seasons now is a balanced squad, and what we've done is we've lumbered 25 in, and then we've gone right. Where are you going to play? Who's going to play where if somebody gets injured? And what we're now looking at somebody you mentioned there. We've got Wilson and Wood, and then you go off. We get Ekatike. Is he there to replace one of them? Well, no, not really. He's a wide man. He's a wide on the left, so he's there to compete perhaps and put pressure on ASM. And then you say, well, we'll get Nunes. What happens then? Well, that gives you 3 strikers, and you're going to play 2 of them. But what happens if one of them gets injured? Or like this season where Wilson was out and Wood had to play on his own. We had no one who could even play alongside him. And he was so isolated at times, especially during that first 8 or 9 games that Eddie Howe had where we weren't picking up points. So it's Eddie now looking at perhaps getting the right blend right, but also starting to pick the square pegs for the square holes. And also, as Mitch says, adapting that with a plan B, so a different style of play to suit a particular situation. And this is all about the squad management, the squad rotation, and making sure you've got quality players. And I think the key to it is quality. we're no longer just picking up people in the bargain basement. We're looking at quality. Yeah, you can dip into the bargain basement, but you can end up having to suddenly end up paying 25 million for a Chris Wood. But when you're looking at the price of Ekitike, who I think that's how you say it, is hovering around the 28 to 29 million mark, and that's only £4 million more than Chris Wood. Yes, an established Premier League player, but this is the bargain basement, if you like, in inverted commas, that there is in Europe. There'll be loads of add-ons on top of that. And remember, we got Bruno for 35. It's when we start to get into the Núñez situation and you start looking at players that are now being valued at 60 and 65, and then you see how the club copes and how they handle it and whether they really are going for that. And I think that's what's exciting the fans, and that's what exciting people about the close season, to be perfectly honest. It would be great to think that you would pick up a Ekitike and you would pick up a Núñez and you'd have Chris Wood and you'd have Wilson, and you can blend all four in, and you can, we're then in a situation where we start using our subs properly instead of panicking and throwing three on at once like Sir Bobby used to occasionally do, or in probably one of the areas that I've sort of been critical of Eddie Howe, which has been in his game management, where we haven't got substitutes on until the last 10 minutes and this type of thing. So I think it's all of this adapting, all of this sort of planning, building, and really utilising the resources that he's got that's going to be the exciting part. And obviously, we've got Dan Ashworth now coming in, and that's probably another topic for later on in the show as well, I'm sure. That you then start to think, well, what influence is Dan Ashworth going to bring? What role is Dan Ashworth going to be playing? How deep is the role going to be in terms of the transfers? Or is this still going to be following the Steve Nixon plan? And is Dan Ashworth now going to be heavily involved more in the ethos of the club as a sporting director? And Mitch and I have spoken about this, and you, Steve, for what, three seasons now. I remember talking with people at the club about it as well. The difference between a director of football and the role of a sporting director, and how important it is to make sure you get the right person. And it looks like we've definitely got the right person in Dan Ashworth as well. So this is where it becomes an even more exciting close season. And we're all looking forward to the season starting, aren't we? Fixtures are out in, less than a fortnight now.
Yeah, God, can't wait. Absolutely, delighted. Okay, as you know, we've been asking you for your player of the season. We asked you to get your votes in. Voting has now closed. I've got to say, this is always a bit of a judge of how many people tune in, how many people watch your channel. 5,000 people voted on this, which is fascinating and fantastic. And we want to thank you all for joining in and making this a real cross-section vote. In third place, player of the season, third place was Dan Burn. Second place was Bruno. And number one, with an amazing 72% of the vote, was this man. Drum roll, please. Joe Linton won our player of the season. NUFC Matters player of the season. I think John and I are going to try and get a little trophy done on behalf of NUFC Matters, and we will endeavour to present that to the big man when he comes back in for pre-season training on behalf of you lot out there. So we will have a little think, see how we can do it. We might give somebody else the option of going up to the training ground if we can get that past Lee Marshall and the gang up there. But well done, Big Joe. Thoroughly deserved. And once again, thank you to every single person who voted. It does make a big difference when you interact and get involved. And we never take that for granted. Okay, now, obviously, this week, for a couple of the shows, I had to put on my glasses because I do need glasses. Which means ultimately that the lookalike section went absolutely mental this week. So I'm going to have to do the lookalike section in two parts. This section is dedicated to me. First up, Moxie Mag says, Steve Wraith, I think it's time to give old Hitonian a break.
Good lad. Good lad. But I like Moxie.
No glasses on there. Then this one from Ginny. I I've got to be honest, like the Gandhi thing became a bit of a running theme from this moment on. The Gandhi thing became a bit of a running theme, chaps. So that was that one. Again, Phil Collins from Steve J. Owen.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you can see where we go. My favourite one was this from Gaz. I won't say any of our friends' favourite lines. I'll only get accused of being an old fuddy-duddy Victorian or whatever it was that we got accused of this week. Lee, thanks for this. Baron von Strucker from Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, that's a new one. He's broken his glasses by the looks of it, but thanks for that. As you've seen already, Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi from Ian Russell. That one's good. He's got the face as well there. He's got the jumper. Steve's loving this. This one slipped in because, and I wouldn't have used this if Alison Maximin hadn't liked it, but that one was quite funny. And Alison Maximin made a big thing of it. Albert chipped in with one of his usual masterpieces. Steve looking rueful after getting his head stuck in a lift door. I mean, the mind boggles as to why you would even think of that as like...
Jesus Christ.
I know, exactly, Albert. We'll have to go for a pint, Albert. This is from Ray at the gym. Steve Wraith and the Milky Boy Kid.
Yeah, Milky Bar Kid.
Yeah, which was good. Thanks for that, Ray. This one was from Ben Jacobs. He says, good to see you make an appearance in the photo behind me, Steve.
Well done, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Ben. I thought you were my mate. This one, Mark Ash was taking the mick out of one of his... Mark Ash put his new profile pic up, and Simmer the Mag put up this one. You look a bit like Steve Wraith there. Mark Ash replied, no, he dyes his hair. Thanks. That was another good one. Thanks. This one then, the same picture, 100% Mag says, I see you've been following Ronaldinho around, Steve, mate. So clearly people just wanting a photograph with Ronaldinho, and that guy just never moved. He looks as if he's been superimposed on the back of the photo. Ray from the gym, after his success with his previous one, which you've just seen, then sent this. Hair Flick, I think it is, or somebody like that.
Yes, it is.
Hello.
Jesus Christ.
I had this one, which somebody says Benzema looks like Charles Bronson and Steve Wraith.
God,
which is good. And then this one, Sam Chipperfield asking if I was at Palace. Thank you for that, mate. And we went virtually a whole week without one, and then we got one right at the death. Steve Wraith, can Harry have his glasses back, please? So that is the end of part one of Lookalike. We will be back, and I'm sure normal service will be resumed in the second half.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, Tom Dixon comes in with this one. He says, lads, would you take anyone from Manchester United? Mitch?
I'd take anyone that would improve our squad. That's what we should be looking for. If you want to name names from Man United, is there anybody I would have? I'm not really sure. I think they're a squad on the way down. There's a lot of egos and noses that have been put out the joint there. How much baggage would somebody arrive with? But if anyhow was to assess them and say, yeah, this person's the right personality and the right player that I want, and I want them to fit in our system, there's plenty of their players I think you could take because they would improve our squad. But personally, I think we'll be looking elsewhere. We want players on the up, not players on the down. What days of signing players on the down, your Ronnie Johnsons and people like that, at the end of their careers, should be over now. In general, if you're going to sign a player like that, you want somebody who can lift the squad and lift the team and contribute and give something positive in some way, shape or form to the squad. And if that's how Eddie wants to assess players, then great. Because I'm quite sure you do a lot of due diligence and homework on anybody that he wants to bring in, even if it is somebody at the end of the tail end of their career looking to bring something different into the squad. There's plenty of players out there that I would take like that personally, but not many of them from Man United, if any.
I'd take Henderson. I'd take him, without any shadow of a doubt. Take Henderson. I think he's a cracking keeper. If you could afford De Gea, I'd take De Gea as well. I think he's one of the best keepers in the Premiership. So I would definitely take him. But in realistic terms, I'd take Lingard, if the deal was right for Newcastle, and I'd take Henderson. I'd snap the hands off Henderson. And the rumours you hear is 15 million. It's absolute snip. I thought he'd have been nearer 30. So if you could get Henderson in Newcastle and get rid of some of the lesser goalies we've got, the Darlows of the world, and I don't mean lesser in terms of character, I just mean lesser in terms of capability, because I don't think any of them challenge Dubravka, whereas I think Henderson would. So I'm really hopeful that we do get Henderson, and I wouldn't rule Lingard out. You know what I mean? There's no fee there. He's at the prime of his footballing career, and if you were playing anybody and you looked at the bench and brought Lingard on versus Chris Wood, you've got more chance of scoring goals. So there's other people. They've got other people. If Rashford came for the right money, I still think he's a footballer. But so it's difficult to say, isn't it? What I don't want to do is get lured into the likes of Pogba. I think they all spend forces, and I just think they'd ruin the dressing room with the wage demands they've got. So I don't want any big name people like that. It's not going to improve us, or it's not going to improve the spirit of the dressing room. But I would like to see, definitely want to see Henderson, and I would consider others.
Steve?
You know what? Henderson would be only coming if you could guarantee that he was going to be number one choice, because Henderson apparently has an ego that has convinced everybody at Man United that he's the top goalkeeper, that he's the best goalkeeper in the world, and he should be playing, but he's not playing. And that says something for me. The only one that I would look at, who I genuinely think at the age of 24 would be outstanding for us, moving forward for the next 4 or 5 years, would be Marcus Rashford. If it's a fit Marcus Rashford whose head isn't turned. I think Rashford's. I don't think he ever recovered from the injury that he had that kept him out of the Euros, or nearly kept him out of the Euros. And then, of course, when he played, I think Man United dwelled for so long the season before on getting his shoulder right, not operating on him. And then I think the lad got into a big psychological downer when he wasn't getting selected for England. Even though he got in the squad, when he did come on, he was a shadow of the player because he just wasn't fit. And I think that then when they had the change of manager again after Solskjaer left, I think there was various issues that he had with the guy who came in, and whether and now that's out of his system and he's going to stay at Man United and return to the player he was, I suspect it will happen. But if there was anyone, I would take Rashford. I wouldn't take anyone else. De Gea is a good goalkeeper. You're right. I agree with that. I think Lingard's days of long gone. I think at 31-year-old, been at Man United for 22 years or something. Been there since he was the age of 8. Completely institutionalized. I think him coming out. Yes, it might be good for him, but he's hardly played for Man United in all that time. I think he's only had something like 150 appearances since he made his debut around about 2014. It's a long time that he's been hovering around the first team and not getting a game. And he hasn't scored that many goals. He had that little rush of goals when he went to West Ham, where he scored 9 goals, I think, in his West Ham loan. But no, for me, I don't think he would add anything to our squad. I think from a midfield perspective, we've got enough in the squad already.
He's only 29, Steve. He's not 31.
29. He's coming on to 30, though, isn't he? And that's
he's not 31, 29.
Well, he's coming on to, let's say he's coming on to 30-year-old. Maybe by the end of this season. He's certainly going to be 30 by the middle of next season. And I just don't see it. And I just think people are blinded by what he did when he went to West Ham, because he didn't set the world on fire in all the opportunities he had at Man United. And there's got to be a reason why they're not renewing his contract if he's only 29, because you would think if he's at the prime of his career and they've got a new manager coming in, then that's what will happen. But something's happened at Man United with him. No, I think there's better players. I'm expecting the squad to be more of a blended squad, stronger, and I think that we'll be looking to get better than that. And I know he's on a free, and I know people say you can pick him up for now, but you'll be picking up for now as in a massive sign-on fee and £140,000-150,000 a week, because that's the sort of money that he'll be demanding as he's coming for a free. and it's how that impacts on the squad that you've currently got. You know, when you've got players on 75, 80 grand at Newcastle at the minute, and other players who are on 35 are going, well, if he's getting 150, I want 60, I want 70, and it all concertinas up. So Man United, I'm like Mitch. I think they're on a downward spiral, and I don't want to take any of them.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you guys on that. And then, gone are the days of bringing in, players who are other people's cast-offs. We did it with Chelsea for years. We did it with Man U for years. And ultimately, those days are long gone. It's time for us to take the cream of the crop and for them to sit back and moan and groan. Just a little update, Gary. You were asking about Joe Linton. My understanding was it was like a laceration of his foot, so there wasn't any serious damage. Joe Linton didn't get a break or anything like that. He was on crutches as a precaution, which they often do. Mitch, just want to ask you about Chelsea's takeover. I wasn't sitting with a stopwatch and watching how long this takeover was taking, but it's gone through remarkably quickly compared to Newcastle's, hasn't it? And I know Newcastle and Chelsea's takeovers are two completely different things, but I expected at least a little bit more objection from the Premier League or the government, because of the situation that they find themselves in and the person who's selling the club.
There was always, and there still remains for me, a number of questions about who controls the money that's allegedly going to charity. Why was Abramovich involved in so many steps of the way? If the government really meant business about taking the asset off him, what they would have done is taken it off him and put it straight into receivership. And that's to stop any questions and to stop any of the doubts that remain. That's what they should have done, in my opinion. I don't think they had the balls to do that. And because I think they're upsetting another bunch of voters, they're upsetting the Premier League. They would be taking one of the Premier League so-called jewels in their crown. And absolutely torpedoing all of that. They've already had to do with the Premier League with regards to our takeover too. So there's a number of complications in there. I think there's a lot of questions remain over the validity of the whole process, why Abramovich was involved in appointing Rain to do the sale, why Rain insisted that anybody who wanted to do extra due diligence basically couldn't. They were ruled out. That came straight from the Saudi media group who were interested in doing it. They wanted to do more due diligence and were told that they were ruled out because the due diligence they wanted to do would have taken too long. The government pretended they were holding the renewal of the license at the end of the month over the top of the whole thing like the sword of Damocles, and they absolutely weren't. They just made the right noises. But if it had gone tits up, they would have just shrugged their shoulders and told everybody, well, we tried our best. and so as a result of the takeover, the new owners have been allowed to pump money in, which allows them to manoeuvre a little bit on FFP for this year. That'll keep the fans happy for this year because they look like they're signing players. But there's absolutely no way these new owners will be able or want to run Chelsea Football Club the way Roman Abramovich did, because they don't have the money to launder or lose. And therefore, it's going to change Chelsea forever. And I think people don't realise how much that they're still going to be able to find a way to be a force in football of some description, but they're not going to be like what they've been able to do under Abramovich, never again. And I think that'll take a couple of years for people to come to terms with that. But there are still many, and I know Steve will probably add to this a little bit, and Keith, that there are still many questions over the way the whole sale has been done, rushed through, handled, the way the O&D tests were rushed through, handled. That raises questions, very valid questions. From our point of view, feel like we are being given special treatment to a detriment. And I think that's still going to stick in our throats a long time to feel that we're being held to a different set of standards to everybody else, just because the big six are bloody terrified about who our ownership are.
Yeah, Stu made the point in the chat about it being a cartel, Keith. I mean, I've got to be honest. I'm not gonna labour on it. It doesn't give us sleepless nights, but I still find it really disappointing that, you know, the length of our takeover compared to the length of Chelsea's takeover. When you think about all the you know, the stuff that surrounds it, and I know it's political as opposed to football, but that was the same with us, Keith. What's the difference? How's this got rushed through and ours took, you know, like what seemed like a whole generation?
Don't get me on about a cartel. Stu Penman's bang on right. There's a cartel operating in the Premier League now, and we probably wait longer for Dan Ashworth to get approved than what this Chelsea takeover would take. I mean, why when Newcastle appoint somebody of the ilk of a director of football does have to go through the Premier League? Because I mean, as we sit here today, Crystal Palace is still run a Delaware company, so you haven't got all their directors named. So Crystal Palace haven't named their directors. Some of their directors are hidden behind shares. Yet we appoint a person with no shareholding whatsoever, and he has to be approved by the Premier League. And then Wolves, the same guy who's been spouting off this week, they've changed that round. They didn't name the main man that runs the company at Torsen. They didn't name him and vet him like they tried to vet the King of Saudi Arabia. There's a total and utter cartel operating in English football. And let us tell you, somebody asked us this today, cartels don't disappear. You've got to understand this. A cartel is created because the members believe they're entitled to the greed. So a cartel is something that's born within you. And when it gets born, it doesn't just disappear. What happens is it has to be smashed or broken or stopped. It never just, people don't come from a cartel and then go, I tell you what, we've had a canny run, let's just be normal now. It doesn't happen like that. And the cartel will continue and continue till the day that somebody stops it. So you know, like I had enough evidence myself that I give the football club Newcastle that would have crushed any cartel. And that's from QC, Robert O'Donoghue will tell you, those points you've got cannot be defended. And the football club's own QC said the same. So when the case was heard by 33,000 fans in 50 different countries, that was the day there was never, ever going to be a question of the takeover. When that ran, it was always going to go through because it would have brought them to their knees. And that's still sitting there now. The evidence doesn't die. It doesn't stop being valid evidence in a year's time or 2 years' time. It lasts for years. And all those scars and all that DNA that they've been on, stopping our takeover remains. But Chelsea will get a different set of criteria, as would Arsenal, as would Tottenham. And what it is at the minute that worries me more is you've got a huge consensus of USA owners, and their model of running football clubs is completely different to Europeans, and it's completely different to Middle Eastern people and Far Eastern people. They have a different culture, a different mindset, and what they do is they want to franchise and sell the asset. They put as little money as they can of their own money, as the Glazers proved, into a setup, and then what they do is they get the asset to pay whatever bills needed. That's why the Glazers have taken money out of Man United rather than put money in. That's why Man United aren't the great force they were, because of that takeover, in my opinion. But as far as a cartel goes, Stuart Penman is absolutely 1,000,000% bang on. As a cartel exists, this shit's scared. I mean, Boris Johnson said it's a cartel, but the government and he aren't in a strong enough position to take on the English football cartel at the minute. And it will continue until some day that somebody does take it on. And it will continue until it's smashed. Because cartels do not disappear. They either get smashed or they continue. And what's happening at Chelsea doesn't surprise me. But when we were trying to get Dan Ashworth, I read something where Dan Ashworth needed to get in there and he needed to try and get to work on the Botman deal before the AC Milan takeover went through. So they said, as soon as we can get approval for Dan Ashworth, as soon as we can get approval for him, we can go ahead and do that deal. And then they're waiting for the Premier League. And I said, well, that's not going to be quick. They won't pass that overnight. But if that was any of the big six, they would have done it. The whole thing stinks of dirty horse shit and always will until it's broken. End of rant.
You're spot on, mate. And that was a great rant. That was hasty-esque. And Steve, I'm waiting for you to follow suit.
I'll follow suit by saying, let's start with the Dan Ashworth bit. Dan Ashworth was already approved for Brighton, so why do we need to have him approved again?
True for England as well.
And for England. So now we just have another hoop that we'll have to jump through. Absolute rubbish. Go back to the Chelsea takeover. The very first company that was mentioned on the very first day managed to get through the entire process and win it at the end. When everybody laughed when they said it was going to be Bowley and the Swiss guy, and they said, "Oh, some 85-year-old Swiss bloke wants to buy Chelsea." What happened? That's the system that went through. But it turns out that it's not their money. It's somebody else's money. It's some fund over in America. Exactly what Keith just pointed out. Then you look at the advisors they brought on when it started to get a little bit awkward. Who did they go for? Well, went for Lord Finkelstein for a start, a Tory lord, linked to the Times newspaper, columnist, journalist. Then they went when it was starting to get a little bit more iffy. They went to George Osborne. Remember him? Used to be Chancellor of the Exchequer under David Cameron. He took a role and he helped to smooth the waters over with the government people who were making the waves, if you like. And that's how it all got smoothed over, because it's all the handshakes and it's all the help that was given and all the little nods that were of approval that were making this system go through for them. And the more you look at it, the more everything that Keith's saying holds true. In exactly the same way as the doubters didn't believe what Keith was coming out with when we're in our takeover. Absolutely spot on then, absolutely spot on now. The cartel still exists and always will do. Then you look at what's going to happen in the future, and exactly again what Keith just said. There's 8 clubs, at least 8 clubs now owned by Americans. The same things happen with Crystal Palace. The two hidden. Or the hidden group within Crystal Palace, two of the 3 named directors wanted to buy Chelsea, for God's sake. What's going on there? Oh, we own Crystal Palace, but now we want to bail out. And how does that operate? What's going on there? What do Crystal Palace fans think about that? That their owners were going to bail out on them. We're going to go and buy Chelsea instead. But now they've failed, so it's like, oh, everything's all right, lads. No, that was just a joke. It didn't really happen. Come on, like, what the head? It's crazy. You look at some of the finances that are being discussed, and people saying, "Oh well, how can you throw in £4.25 billion for Chelsea when it's 350 million for Newcastle United?" Just as one or the other, chalk and cheese. The gap is absolutely massive. How do you fill that gap? Where they're gonna get the revenue from that's going to fill that hole? And you just can't see it. But what will happen is, as the Americans take over more and more power, they will start looking at things like, for example, the global TV rights. Mm-hmm. And they'll start to say, you know what, maybe we should start to look at our own TV rights. Wow. Maybe we should have the collective TV rights. Maybe it's the people who are getting the most watches should get the money. You know what? They might be in for a shock when they suddenly find out that Newcastle United are in among that pile. That'll Remember us? We had just as many TV games as Chelsea and Liverpool and Man United, because people overseas will want to watch us more and more as we grow. But this is where they see the revenue coming from. This is where they see the money. And the whole collective bargaining will eventually go out the window because the Americans don't like that. They don't like that system. So if they'll be looking at their own TV rights, and I read an interesting little article also that said what Chelsea were also looking at is they were looking at seeing whether they could sell specific match day experiences to people overseas. And you think to yourself, how does that work? How can you have a match day experience? Someone that's 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 miles away, and Mitch is now going to match day experience. They're going to fly us over. No, Mitch. What they're going to do is they're going to give you a little thing to look at, and they're going to give you. They are. Yeah, and you'll be able to watch the game as though you're sitting next to me and your dad. That's what that's the sort of technology that they're working on. Well, and that's the Chelsea.
They've already experimented with it. They've already experimented with it over here in Saudi Arabia for Serie A. It's already been done via, was it Facebook?
I think so, yeah.
I can't remember which platform it was, but it was a VR experience. You could go and watch the game, quote unquote, live, and have the experience of being there. But it was all virtual.
I experienced it, but just before you say that, Mick, because Mitch, I will lose me train of thought. That I went to Gateshead once. There's a tech place down on the quayside next to Gateshead College, and I went down there about 4 years ago to watch a band record a video, and they were doing exactly that. They were testing the headsets for VR, and it was Sunderland Football Club who at the time were pioneering it in the northeast. They'd been sold the idea, but I've never seen anything since. But go on, Mitch. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to pick up on somebody put a question up on the screen before about were we sold on the cheap? And the simple answer is yes. That's why me and Steve Hasty spent 2.5 years on this show telling everybody in football that we come into contact with to talk about football club sales was saying that at 320 million in Newcastle United was a bargain. And they all easily made reasons and cases that you could be asking for 400 and 450. And imagine if Ashley had come out and asked for that. I think the furore amongst our fan base would have been unbelievable. But we were being told that 320 million was actually a bargain and it was a good deal. And it's why they waited. They waited for us because they knew what they were getting. The next value proposition after us in the Premier League was probably West Ham. And they were wanting 800 million. Mm-hmm. That was what they were quoted when people went to go and speak to the dildo salesman. And at 320 million for our club was an absolute bargain.
How many in the press told me that we're only worth 200 or 180? Every press, we're telling you, no, they're not worth that. They're not worth that. And of course, they would not remember there was one particular guy apparently who got all the way through, and he was telling we how many times did we hear that this standing guy was buying Newcastle United for £250 million? He's now standing around trying to buy another club at the moment, apparently. What did we know?
That was purely made up by press. It was purely made up by the press.
John Spence, well done, mate. Just to congratulate John Spence. Unfortunately, we don't have a competition for guessing sound effects in the background, but yes, my lass is washing the dishes. Go on, Keith.
When we're talking about there, what do you say there, Steve?
We're talking about a certain takeover bid of 250 million that didn't really exist.
But Henry Morris was created by the press, by people who didn't want to take over Saudi Arabia, Newcastle. So what they did, they championed him. There was no serious talks between him, Newcastle, or anything else. And when you talked about Henry Morris to the club, they just laughed. It was almost a wind up. And now he's resurfaced again. He's looking at a club now, Sheffield United, and they talk about 120. Someone said 120 million, and they ask him where he's going to get the money from. So how is he going to get 320 million for Newcastle? He didn't have that kind of money. But how was he going to get 320 and then the money needed to invest in them? So it was just all horseshit. But people in the press who didn't want to take over championed it and gave it more and more clicks to try and turn people off the idea of being taken over by Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, great stuff as always. An hour has passed and Dawn has finished doing the dishes, which is great. She's now texting us to ask us what I want from the Chinese. I will respond to that, Dawn, in due course. Thank you. Thank you for making an appearance on the screen. It's a classic. Okay, it's time for you. Now she's waving, but she won't come on screen. It's time now for your favourite music. So if you like it, listen to it. And if you don't, you know what to do. Put your fingers in your ears. Okay, the day I met, where I asked you to send in photographs of you meeting players, ex-players, managers, ex-managers, somebody connected with the club, whatever. This one was brilliant. I got this a few weeks back from Michael Crammon, and I've managed to make the pictures a little bit bigger. So, Michael, thank you for these. I think the standout is your golfing trousers, mate. These are absolutely fantastic, by the way. But there you are with Steve Harper and Alan Thompson, which is brilliant, mate. Thank you for that. This one with Thursday night regular Super Mac. Good photo as well. No golfing trousers on that one. Here you are with General Lee, Robert Lee, which is another good photo. Thank you for that one. And last but by no means least, back to the golfing trousers with the legend. That is Alan Sheeran. I bet you didn't beat him at golf, Michael. But same script. If you've got a photograph of you with somebody who played for the club or was managing the club or just involved with the club, get them into us and we will give them a show on the show on a Friday night. Time for clue 3 as well. John from QTech does a monthly quiz. You have to get the answers to these 4 questions from the pictures that we put up on the screen. Once you've got all 4 answers, there'll be another question goes up and you get it right in the chat. You could win a prize. So the first one was 28th of November, 1960. Week 2's clue was born in the Felling. And this week's clue is 62 England caps. So write the answers down to those 3 clues. Next week's the final clue, and we will then find out who the winner is, and we'll announce the prize next week. And don't forget as well, on Twitter, you've got about half an hour left to bid on the Sam Fender t-shirt, which is up for grabs. Sam will sign it. All proceeds for this are going to the food bank. And I think we've got the same runners and riders who are neck and neck again for this. But as usual, George Hayes can't watch live, so he has already paid £250 for the t-shirt. £250 is in the food bank's accounts. He's happy for the winner to go to the highest bid, obviously, and from his perspective, he just wants to donate £250 into the food bank. So George went for 250. Vince Smith, I'm just going down the tweet, is the current high bid, and that is £300. So at the moment, that t-shirt is going to make £550 for the food bank. If you want to change that, if you want to bid higher than 300, then please drop a message into the Twitter at Steve Wraith. It's pinned at the top. You've got about half an hour to do that. Big shout out, as always, to our sponsors, Spider Miner. Of course, worldwide coverage from the lads. It's the only cryptocurrency miner that can mine 5 different cryptocurrencies at the same time whilst using virtually no energy, and it's VPN protected. Buy yours now at www.miner.spidervpn.org. Thanks to the lads at skipsandbins.com, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website www.skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 0191 389 7245, and the Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD, hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and the guys who run our website, NUFCmatters.com, and to Cleakai. Meet the new Game Over screen, drop into a ClearRun device near you, available on Apple Store, Google Play, and clearrun.game. Thanks to Media Arts for all your help with video technology. If you want to subscribe to the channel, we still do 7 shows a week during the summer as well. Hit the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right hand corner and you can subscribe for free. Hit the thumb up to like the video, which is very important. Currently 410 of you watching, only 83 thumbs up. All you need to do is click the little thumb up under the video and that's it. It's free to do. It does help us. Hit the share button to share it to your other social media, or just to create a post on your YouTube and share it with your followers, and drop into the comments to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans, or to post a comment on screen. You can join the channel as well by hitting the join button underneath. That helps you make a donation. Or if you want to make a donation to the channel, simply drop something into the bottom of the chat. From our point of view as well, we're also on Spotify and on iTunes and on Podbean as well. It usually goes up 24 hours as a podcast after the YouTube show is finished. And John from QTech has very kindly put a season ticket up for grabs if you become an NUFC Matters member via the website. You get a cup, a pen, a membership card, and a scarf. It's a £25 one-off fee. You go to nufcmatters.com to become a member, or you can put your smartphone over the QR code and it takes you straight there. The draw is in a couple of weeks' time. It is for a season ticket in the Platinum Club or a cash equivalent, which John has kindly donated £1,000. So that is a £1,000 donation into the pot, and that is what the lucky winner will win if they don't want the season ticket. If you are a subscriber, then you can get a free car sticker. You just need to email john@nufcmatters.com. We do support the food bank on here as well, so don't forget the Matchday Bucket is virtual and is available 365 days of the year. NUFCfansfoodbank.co.uk is where you make your donations any time of the day. Our end of season do is quickly coming upon us. Friday the 24th of June at Shearer's Bar. Doors at 7 o'clock. Tickets are £12 and £15 respectively. And you buy them from nufcmatters.com. Mick Lowes and Andy Griffin are joining us on stage, and Holly and I will be doing the food challenge, which we will be announcing over the course of the weekend. Mick Lowes and Andy Griffin are also joining me in the morning. So join us in the morning. Andy will be on NUFC Matters tomorrow, having a quick chat with Mick. And he's looking forward to coming back to Tyneside and telling us some of the tales of when he played at St James's Park. Don't forget, the Shearer Ball is still up for grabs, $2.99 a ticket. Enter now at nufcmatters.com. And good odds to win a wonderful ball signed by Alan Shearer, only 260 of those made. And don't forget as well, the Craze Gangsters Behind Bars, the charity screening in memory of my mother Celia Wraith, takes place Saturday the 11th of June. Concert room at the Tyneside Irish Centre, 12 o'clock doors, 12:30 screening. Tickets are a £5, and all proceeds go to St Bede's Palliative Care Unit at the QE Hospital. I just want to thank my good friend Stu Penman. He's bought 10 tickets for that today, sent the money over to Steve Hasty, which is very kind of him. So we have another 10 free tickets to give away on the show. Anybody wants them, contact John at nufcmatters.com. And you will be able to get your 10 free tickets. And I know there's some donated as well to the food bank. Steve's going to hand some out to the guys and girls at the food bank if they want them. But Chris Hall, Stu Penman, and John from QTech all bought tickets for that. So still got plenty of tickets to give away. Anybody wants them, please do. And we're hoping to raise some decent money on the day for the palliative care unit for all the help they gave me, ma'am. So thank you very much for all your support. We have still got a lot to get through, and as you know, we like to have Elliot Slessor with a joke of the week. Well, this is a little bit different this week. Usually joke of the week from Elliot, but he could have put this in Twitter of the week, but I did like this one. 89 monkeypox cases in the UK. Won't be long before we're stood on the front doorstep clapping the zookeepers. Elliot, keep it coming, mate. I love your jokes, but that was a brilliant tweet, mate. Thanks very much for that. Okay, on to Dan Ashworth. We've mentioned him a couple of times tonight, Mitch. It's a great appointment, and what we were talking Wednesday. We're giving him a review of the season, and best signing of the season. I think a lot of people voted for Trippier. Could Dan Ashworth be the best signing of this summer?
Could indeed. I'm very interested to see what his role is going to develop into, because something I think we need now is to look at the entire DNA of the club, top to bottom, and to have a cohesiveness and connectivity that is links the very bottom rung of our ladder all the way up to the first team, and to allow players to progress and develop in a way that there's been barriers and difficulties for many, many years. How involved is he going to be with first team signings? That's not terribly clear at the minute, but that might not actually be his role, because the foundation that a connected, thought through journey for progression and development of a player from the junior ranks through to the first team is something we just haven't had for such a long time. We've lost the local connection to the boys' clubs and to that sort of area. And I know they've started through the foundation to try and get that connectivity back, but this is the kind of thing I think Dan Ashworth's coming in to sort out. And it sends a message about the calibre of people we're looking to appoint to our club. This guy revolutionised England. He's involved with now the ECB, looking at where they're going wrong. He seems to have this reputation that is significant in the world of sport, not just in the world of football. And these are the kind of people, if you look at how PIF, when they acquire businesses and they improve businesses, this is exactly the kind of thing they do. They find the best people for the best rules and put them in position and say, right, show what you can do. And if you fail, you'll be out the door pretty quickly and you'll be replaced. But that doesn't happen that often. If you look at turnover in companies acquired by PIF and allowed to grow, one of the things they're very good at is retaining good quality people doing the best jobs that they can for them. And they're very good at appointing the right people at the right roles. And I think this is just for our future as a football club, this is one of the most significant signings I think we'll ever make.
Keith, it's a big one. We've known about it for a while. We were, being told it might not happen until the back end of the year because of the compensation. But Newcastle have acted quickly and made it their first signing, really.
They talked about it being as late as November this year, but the story I got told was he's worth waiting for. When you look at talk to people in football, there's a lot of cultured people, people with intelligence. They're saying that he's the absolute real deal. And Neil Mitchell's just eloquently explained. I mean, Neil's just promoted Dan Ashworth to the level that he deserves. And what you should do is also look at the people who don't compliment the lad. So Neil's just unbiasedly said what he's done at England and what he's done in football. The lads, it's surreal that the Premier League have to pass the approval of a man to come to Newcastle when he's at Brighton. So does that mean that if we sign, a footballer from Brighton, we've got to get him passed by the Premier League? But Dan Burn came, and then we go for director of football, and he's got to get approved. I don't get that. But I was shocked. I was out shopping with the missus last Sunday, and I'm walking along the shops, and then I said, she stopped. She said, "What you do?" I said, "Hold on." I says, I've got a message here of one of the DJs of TalkSport, and it was our friend Simon Jordan. So Simon Jordan had a pub with me last week. Basically, he just bit because I'd said that he'd apologised to. He gave credit because I think you picked up on it, Steve Wraith. You said, "Well done, Simon," and you complimented on him giving credit to Newcastle and all the rest of it. So then I followed that up with and said, "Well, it's good that Simon Jordan's done that." And then he went berserk. He lost the plot. He said, I haven't said any such thing. And he ended his statement by saying that the man was a charlatan. So I turned around and I said, you've got to let this go. You've got to stop it eating you, Simon. And I've not been rude to him. I haven't called him and sworn him anything. I've just taught him like a credible person. And then this week he comes back and he says that Dan Ashworth wasn't wanted by Man United and Liverpool. What's got to do with the price of chips? I mean, Well, maybe they weren't looking for a director of football, but what on earth? So every player we sign, or every backroom member staff we sign, is Simon Jordan going to come on and say, well, Real Madrid didn't want him? I mean, God, they've got... And for me, I think it's a litmus test. When the likes of Gabriel Blanc-Lahore, whatever the hell they call him, and Simon Jordan slaughter someone at Newcastle, you can nearly assume that something's good's being done at Newcastle. You can nearly assume when they're criticised, something's good's kicking off. And Simon Jordan is well, we're like bosom buddies. I mean, we
Oh, we've lost him. Go on, Steve. You can take over from that. His internet's a little bit ropey tonight.
Bosom buddies. I'm getting worried now.
It was a good place to finish. If you could have scripted where to finish, bosom buddies was a good one.
That's right.
Apologies to anybody who doesn't like the use of the word bosoms.
Oh no! You know, I was wondering what was going to come.
Got our knockers, Steve. You know that.
Yes, we do have plenty of them. You know, when you look at Dan Ashworth's record, you know he went to West Brom, and then he was picked up for England. He's worked his way through. I think I listened to an interview on the Loaded show that they had with a guy who previously worked with him at England, and he was saying that he had also been at Peterborough, and you know he's worked his way up. He's a good guy. He's a clever guy, but he's fully conversant with football all the way through. Went to England, spent an awful lot of time with Southgate, and really put the plans in place from 2012. And that's where we started to get the success that we've seen at the under 17, under 19, under 20 level. And then that you see some of the stars that are now sort of transgressing into or transposing into the England core team now. That Southgate's picking up on. Then he went to Brighton, and we've seen the success that they've had. He's worked with a very good owner at Brighton who's wanting to build his football club, and Ashworth's done exceptionally well, and they've picked up some wonderfully talented footballers, some of them on the snip as well. So it shows that he does have an eye for a player. He's a slightly different role. That's the guy, Adrian Bevington, the Middlesbrough fan, who spoke very, very eloquently on the Loaded show about him. But what I think's good is that he's one of those quiet guys who just behind the scenes will just get on with his job. And I think the role is going to be slightly different to the role that he's had at Brighton, because I do think that he's now a sporting director. And I think that is where you start to build the ethos of the club, something that we haven't had. And a lot of people in the comments talking about the youth development, etc., etc. And that's important for Newcastle United. It's important for the Northeast. It's important for youngsters who are now 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, and even some of them, the 16 and 17-year-olds who have perhaps been overlooked because there hasn't been a catch-all, there hasn't been a way for those youngsters. And there's kind of a thing in football that talks about, you know, if you're spotted, then you've got a chance. If you're not spotted 8, then you've got no chance. And I think that's quite a disappointing way to look at football, because the pressure that puts on kids who want to play in the game. So it's great for Newcastle that we've got him. It's great that he's coming in at a time where everything's in transition at the club, everything's going to build. So looking forward to it.
Big welcome back to Simon Jordan's love child.
Did you see how I tried to keep away from that? I thought I'm going to have to avoid it. If I'd stopped there, I would have just lost it. I can guarantee.
You need to start drinking your latte with a pinky finger like I'm drinking my prosecco.
I'll tell you what. I don't know what I keep aware that picture behind him. Somebody commented in the comments.
Aye, it's like a haircut. You've
got the perfect Bobby Charlton, more Ralph Coates than Bobby Charlton, I think, in the wind.
Sid Maxim haircut. Sid Maxim like that, like.
Got to say as well, a big congratulations. Not very often we talk about the Queen's Honours list, but a former player of our parish, James Milner, being made an MBE. And I've got to be honest, I nearly spat me tea out this evening when I heard that Rio Ferdinand had been given an award for whatever he's supposed to do. I mean, he sits and slags Newcastle off. But James Milner, I haven't got a bad word to say about the lad. He was Mr. 7 out of 10, Mr. Consistency at Newcastle United. If anybody deserved to go on and do well after his Newcastle United career, it was him. Lovely lad, Mr. Professional. I wish we had, he's the kind of person you'd like 11 James Milners in the team.
Oh, yeah,
so congratulations to him. He's been recognised by the Queen. He got an MBE for services to football and to charity. So, of course, he joins a long list of former Newcastle players, John Barnes, Peter Beardsley, Les Ferdinand, Aaron Hughes, Stuart Pearce, Alan Shearer, and, of course, the late, great Gary Speed. Other recipients with Newcastle connections include Sir Bobby Robson, Michael O'Neill, Kevin Keegan, George Eastham, Kenny Dalglish, Jack Charlton and Ivor Allchurch. Thanks to NUFC.com for listing those. I had already heard the news about James Milner, but nice for them to do a little bit of research and pay respect with everybody else. So James Milner, take a bow, son. Well done. Okay, 40 minutes to go. 10 minutes you've got to bid on the shirt, the Sam Fender shirt. So get yourself onto Twitter at Steve Wraith if you're really wanting that and it's signed by Sam Fender or will be signed by Sam Fender. Get yourself onto there. Time for Tweet of the Week. Tweet of the week. Lots of things being sent to us this week. Some I can use, some I can't. I did like this one with regards to trolls. How do you sleep at night knowing people don't like you? Me, with a fan on. I thought that was quite good. So somebody did send us that. Brilliant. Tweet of the week then. This is where we start. Jordan Halliwell. Meant to be picked up at 4 p.m. at the Rocket Pub, Liverpool by a coach. Catered for by Coach Innovations. It's now 22:30 and still nothing. Trip to Paris ruined. Now off home instead. No communication from the company. So this was, as you can see, from a Liverpool fan who was left stranded, hoping to get to the Champions League final. It turns out that the Everton fans had actually set up a company called Coach Innovations Limited. Check out the director's name, Mr. Richard Arlison. Oh dear. Oh, exactly. And there he is driving the bus. Yes, Everton fans, that's a cruel joke, especially the people going to the Champions League final. But those Liverpool fans fell for it, hook, line and sinker. A lot of tweets of the week was aimed at Liverpool. That one doesn't really need me to read it out, but you can see what people made of Liverpool's fans arriving in Paris. This one from our very own John Q-Tech. When you order your quadruple off Wish... Excellent, that, John. I did like that. There was also this one which was sent to me by WhatsApp from somebody who didn't want to be named. That's some seriously powerful tear gas the French police used on the Liverpool fans that were still crying at the end of the match. Pretty good. And this one from Emma Edgar. Things you love to see. Yes, Emma, I'm pretty sure a lot of people were reveling in it. I've got to be honest, I would have liked to have seen Liverpool win. I don't like to see foreign teams winning these things. Better look next time to the Scousers, says this one from 100% Mags. But have to submit this for Tweet of the Week, guys. I'll understand if you can't show it. Unlucky Scousers, you shouldn't have booed one's anthem, she says. And yeah, that was something which left a sour taste in people's mouths. I could imagine the Queen saying just that. Real Madrid tweeted this. You will walk alone tonight after the game.
Oh, yeah, right.
And Michael Healy, a good Toon fan, good lad as well, and regular watcher of the show, says, Jurgen Klopp, manager of the season, my arse. True. This one was put on the NUFC Matters Facebook page. Jamie Rubin sending it to me, Dad. Your belated birthday gift has just arrived. Football for dummies. This banter between these two for the nutmeg that happened on St James's is still ongoing. I love this one from Austin Diaper. The boys all ready for his football this morning, rocking my retro kit. Fantastic, that. And I did ask Austin if he would be okay with us showing that. So thank you for the permission. This one from Wayne Bennett. Meanwhile, in Sunderland, wife crashed the car again yesterday. She told the police the man she collided with was on his mobile phone and drinking a can of beer. Police said he can do what he likes in his own living room. And this one from Keith Gray. Congratulations, Bonnie lad, from me, Neil, Keith, Steve, Joe, and Ian Mearns. We're all delighted for you both. And we're all going to buy a hat. And if you need the three amigos and Keith to come along and sing a song or something or do a reading, I'm sure I can. Keith can read his letter. I can read a funny poem. Mitch can do something with your teeth. And Steve can just look like the queen in the corner. So if you want us at the wedding, Keith, give us a shout. There you are. He's got the wave. Give us a shout. We'll get along. Thanks for this one, Wayne, as well. A sign now in America saying beer is now cheaper than gas. Drink. Don't drive. Cheers. I'll say yes to that tonight. And not very often you catch me on it on an Amigo show, but I am tonight. Anything on Botman? Gary Lumley replied, probably trousers and a shirt or jeans and a t-shirt. That's my kind of humour, that is, by the way. Mighty Mag said this one as well. Obviously, just talking about the bother that we saw at the Champions League final. Sooty chipped in at the bottom. If Steve Wraith was still a Dorman, this wouldn't have happened. It's his fault. I don't think I could have done much against that, mate, to be perfectly honest. Mark Bayer says, hi, Keith and Steve. Didn't know you two owned a motel in Missouri. Bold Nobbers Motor Inn. Thanks, Mark. Mark's been very active this week. There's been some good ones from him. This one was from Denny Bin Salman. She said yes, said Paul. Wait for it. Wait for the reaction. You seen her fingernails?
Oh my God.
That was one of them where you go, well, what's funny about that? Until you start having a proper look. Yeah, she said yes. Good luck, Paul.
Dear me.
She's a gardener.
This one, I lost this year ages ago, Keith. I've just found it when we put the photo of us at that dinner with me, you and Steve. Somebody said, name the boy band. Middle East 17.
250,000 views, that.
Fantastic. A lot of it people wanting to grief with. I love this one as well. From Texas Tune. Tree showing the shadow causing a picture of John Lennon on a garage door.
Bloody hell, look at that.
Oh, that's Ted.
How good is that?
Oh, that's Ted Cree.
Brilliant. Duncan Alexander. I love this bit of inane fact. Eddie Howe was the first Newcastle manager who was at school when Biker Grove started.
Good one.
It's a good one with a pub quiz, maybe. Anybody? This one was sent to us by multiple people. I'll give Zara a shout out because she's a constant provider. Mike Lowen. Well, I thought Liverpool would be too much. Would have too much tonight. They didn't do much wrong, but all credit to Real Madrid. It's a club that simply wins on the big occasion. Danny said, "If I was on a desert island with you and a tin of corned beef, I'd eat you and talk to the corned beef." It gets funnier every time you read that. Spenny Mag sent this one. Players linked to Newcastle before the transfer window opens.
Yeah. Right.
And this one from Ian Hull. I blame the Stranglers myself.
Very good. Very good.
No more heroes anymore for those of you who need to be explained. Very good, Ian. Very good. This one from Craig Milner. New tune tops released in Turkey before UK. Is it Fun 88 sponsor? No, I don't think so, mate. But, buy it, mate. It'll be a $5 or something, and it's well worth it. This one was a good one as well. Police have just released one of the forged tickets, which were used by Liverpool fans at the Champions League final. Good job we can laugh about things like that. This one was sent to us from Stu Penman, late arrival. So that's Penman Wraith and the Jimmy Savile lookalike. I'm not sure who that is, Steve. Who have aired their Victorian views online so far. Just the bloke who completed the takeover and the alcoholic dentist left, and then it's a full house. What a lovely bunch. To which Stu replied, "Ooh, look, everyone. It's somebody with no sense of humour and a new unnamed account who's looking to twist things out of context whilst insulting people. Surely you've got better things to do with your life." I'd love to follow that thread, but I didn't bother. I've got enough going on without being tuned into that. Ian Hull says Manchester United are in talks with a billionaire sheikh from the Middle East. They're discussing a multi-million-pound takeover deal to get the club back up the league table. Sheikh and Vak has promised to put the freshness back. It's all in the delivery, chaps. Ian as well is starting to become a bit of a favourite of mine with this one. Daily Dafty, the Proclaimers grass grows out of control and blame B&Q. Their manager told the Daily Dafty they've been to Bathgate, no more. Linwood, no more. Methyl, no more. And Irvine, no more.
Yeah. Very good.
I like that one. Johnny Depp got a mention earlier on, but here we've got breaking news, and it's Aston Villa make bid for Johnny Depp. Club officials confirm the amount is anything Newcastle want, and negotiations with the bloke who served Depp a pint in the Bridge Tavern are ongoing. That one's doing the rounds on social media, but this week's tweet of the week is this. Don't even think about it, Zuma Pet. Newcastle United fans, that was right up my tree. Thank you very much for that. Anybody's got tweets of the week, send them to me, send them to Steve, send them to Mitch, send them to Keith, send them to Ian Mearn, send them to Joe, send them to anybody, but make sure they get to us. That is tweet of the week for this week. Blue Rhythm Boy, you've asked a couple of questions. I highlighted them, which is a thing that Chris Hall showed us many moons ago. Do the panel think Target will sign for us permanently? And do the panel think the ownership will want a big name, say Bale, pays you play, or similar? I feel they want a billboard player, Mitch. So first part of the question, do you think Target will sign on a permanent deal? And are Newcastle interested in the likes of Gareth Bale?
With regards to Target, no. I think that was made. I think if we were going to have wrapped that deal up, it would have had to have done before he returned to his parent club. And so he's now a Villa player again. I think that hastily edited Instagram post by his missus hinted as to what was going on. And like I said, when I've talked about him before, if he doesn't feel he can settle in the region, thank him very much for his service. We've had 6 to 8 months out of him. No hard feelings there at all. And he's been honest with you, he's not dicking around. Because there's a lot of players will dick you around and say they'll come and then they might come and then they do come and then after 6 months they're unsettled and they want to be off. We don't need that. So I think if the case is that he feels he can't settle and he's been honest about it, thank you for your honesty and thank you for your help. Brilliant. With regards, I've said for a long time, one of the things I could always see PAF wanting to do was to have a marquee name, because that's how you sell football here in the Middle East. And of the kind of marquee names that we could pick up, Bale is one of the ones that actually I would be quite comfortable with. Because if you look at when he was at Spurs last, the feedback from Spurs was he was an asset in the dressing room. Everybody loved him. His attitude was fantastic. Totally the opposite of what Real Madrid were portraying him as. And it was a player that I think Mourinho didn't particularly want. And then Mourinho started to rely on when he saw what he was doing in the dressing room. So of all the kind of marquee signings, he's one that would tick boxes for me. He would also tick boxes here in the Middle East, coming from Real Madrid, a club that is followed well here in the Middle East and has lots of connections to here in the Middle East. There was very nearly up in Ras Al Khaimah in one of the northern Emirates. There's an island called Marjan Island, which is an artificial island, a bit like the Palm Jumeirah here in Dubai, and that originally was slated to have at the end of the island would be an all Real Madrid, a hotel, a training complex, and all sorts of different things associated with Real Madrid. That's how connected Real Madrid are in the Middle East. And so to take a player from there to Newcastle United actually raises our profile. Look at who we've picked up from Real Madrid. And it's a name that they already know. It's a name that they already like. And so of all the sort of marquee names you could chuck around, that's the one that sits very comfortably with me. And I know not everybody will feel the same way. But if they were to do something like that, I would back it 100%. Because, like I say, the feedback from the Tottenham fans I speak to over here, when he went to Tottenham, he was an asset and he lifted the players. And that's what you want around. If you're going to pick a player up like that, you want someone who's going to integrate into the dressing room and lift the dressing room up the way Trippier has. And so, yes, I could see something like that happening, and that's an interesting name.
What about you then, Keith? First of all, Matt Target. Lots of chat going around about him, but from my perspective, I still think he might sign. And Gareth Bale, that's a name that's been on the horizon. I mean, he's just won another Champions League medal without having to break sweat. Is it time for a move and a pay-as-you-play contract to Newcastle?
I think as far as getting Target goes, I think there's a lot more going on that we didn't find out about. And Neil's just touched on it. I mean, he's covered it well. I do think it involves his family, and I've been told it's a London move. But at 15, well, someone said 13, but 13 to 15 million, it was a no-brainer to sign him up. And even if you were bringing 2 players in that position, it was still a no-brainer. Lewis cost 14 million, and comparing him to Matt Target makes Target sound extremely cheap. However, Target will demand that he plays every week. And what I hear is that Eddie Howe, his whole culture is going to make attacking fullbacks a big part of his play. So he wants 2 Trippiers. He wants a Trippier on the right, a Trippier on the left. And that's why I think he's looking at Lodi at Atletico Madrid and of the players. He looked at Bakker as well out of Holland. So for me, I don't think Target will come. I'm with Neil on that. I don't think Target's coming. I think if he was going to come, they'd have signed him straight away. They had an option to sign him. They'd have paid it. They haven't taken it. So I think if he does come now, it's got a negative tinge to it because they didn't want, they didn't capitalise on that opportunity, and I think that was partially to do with his family not wanting to come. So I think we'll find another left back, but I think he wants someone the ilk of Trippier. I think he wants, when Trippier played, he was domineering on the right hand side. So I think he wants somebody on the left hand side. It's as good as that. When it comes to Bale, it would have to be paper play for me. I think he is better. I've heard strong rumours that the Saudis offered Eddie Howe both Pogba and Neymar. Come on. What would it do to your dressing room if you brought players into this ilk? And if they brought Gareth Bale in on a pay-as-you-play deal, I think the dressing room would accept it, because when he came on, he added something special. And Bale is still a fit lad. He has a great attitude. So I think that, like Neil hit it right on the head, if you're going to bring in one of these trophy signings, then he is someone you could bring in. And I think there'll be an affinity to bring him in, and I think he would do a job. But for me, I'd rather we were looking at, if we were going to go big, I'd rather you were looking at Nunez's and Diaby's and Paqueta's, them kind of people to spend your wage bill on, rather than people who's 30 plus, who's had the day. You know what I mean? And I agree with Neil's right. The Saudis have the ilk that they would like to get a huge, City did it with Robinho, and I'm sure that the Saudis would like to bring a player of that ilk, but that'll come in time. That'll come in a year, 2 years' time, when we've built the squad and built the country under Dan Ashworth. But for me, I'd rather, I like the Etiquettes of the world that come in at 19-year-old, that people that work, that from Reims have said to me, some said he's being compared to Mbappe, but in reality, he's more like Thierry Henry. And I'm thinking, geez, if you could find the next Thierry Henry at 19-year-old, that's where your money should go. That's where you should put your wages. So again, Target's age is when 27, 28, they get into the age where this is the top years for their careers. But when you listen to what Lodi's done at Inter Milan, he sounds a more attacking player. And if that's Howe's mindset to play with 2 wing backs, I can see him wanting the Trippier in a younger version. I think he'll want a younger version, and I would bring in a young player behind Trippier, a right back, like a young protege, like the defender that Middlesbrough's got. If you see what he's doing at Forest, there's a lot of people after him. But I'd be bringing kids in like that. And when they sit there and say like pay as you play, you've got to remember, pay as you play for these kind of superstars is 300,000 a week. That's the kind of money they're talking about, 300, 400,000 a week. You can get a lot of young ones, and you can get a lot of future for that. And when Ronaldo came to Man United, I think Ronaldo was supposed to add to a squad that could do it and take them into that top 2. I think that's when you bring players like that in. But when you bring a Bale into a side like Newcastle's, we're not at that level yet. We're a long way off that level. So for me, I'd rather bring 4 kids in than bring a trophy signing in. But out of them, like Neil says, you've nailed it, Mitch. If you're going to bring in a trophy signing, then Bale's attitude, mindset, culture is healthy, and he'd be good crack in the dressing room. But honestly, I'd rather push the boat out and bought someone 23, 24-year-old who's going to be in 4 or 5 years' time.
Steve, your views first on Matty Target and then Gareth Bale.
I agree that if Newcastle were going to buy Matty Targett, they would have already bought him by now. And I know that sounds harsh, but I am disappointed if he didn't sign, because I thought that he fitted in so well, and he showed what a model professional is all about.
Yeah.
He came into the team and he just head down, put in performance after performance that was steady. I can't recall him playing a bad game. But perhaps, who knows, perhaps, well, as the lads have said, maybe it's his family issues and, family not wanting to move or that type of thing. Who's to say that Villa now don't want to sell him after he's played so well for Newcastle? That Villa have just had a change of management, bringing in a new assistant manager, and maybe there's a new outlook down there. Or perhaps the lad, his head's been turned, or other clubs further down south have looked at him and thought, you know what, we're interested in him now, used us as a test bed to see what he's like. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Tottenham came in for him, for example. I know people are talking about South Coast and perhaps a Southampton or a Brighton or even a Brentford or a West Ham, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Conte picked him up for Tottenham, to be perfectly honest, because he's that sort of player that a manager can wholly 100% rely on. And as I say, I'd like to see him stay. Bale, it's an interesting one. I think what you've got with Bale is you look back at that time that Mitch is mentioning when he was at Tottenham. He scored 10 goals in that little spell on loan at Tottenham. And everybody said at the time that gave them the best three strikers in the country, the best three striking partnership, where they had Son, they had Bale, and Harry Kane running down the middle. And, the Tottenham fans were absolutely raving about it. He did pick up the odd injury now here and there. And, that's what people look at. They look at that sort of staccato sort of career that he's had, where he's been out with muscle strains, and it seems to have taken a while to come back. And then God knows what happened. I mean, the fallout at Madrid seemed to start with Zidane. It seemed to carry on. And even though the current manager, who I think is a great manager, by the way, and I did predict, and just rub that in, I did say that Madrid would win the Champions League last week. Just to remind you, Keith, sorry for your Liverpool mate and everything. But, the manager did praise him, that he left on good terms, and on all the press and the Spanish press and some of the European press and some of the British press have tried to make out that there was all sorts of issues. He just couldn't get into a team when you've got players like Vinicius Jr., who absolutely raised their game 110% this season. And I don't think Madrid expected him to be so consistent and so hard in scoring goals. And I don't think that really they expected Benzema at 35 to be having the season that he's had, where it looks like he's going to be the Ballon d'Or winner. And that's not Bale's fault by a long stretch. And the other thing with Bale is, I think there's always been this, and it hung on the back of Michael Owen, didn't it, when he was here? More interested in his international career than his club career. Everything, but a slight difference in he is Wales. He is the Welsh. There's a big game coming up the weekend that could get them into. And he's going to be free. He's not going to have a club, and they could be heading on Sunday. They could find that they're heading to the World Cup. And with Newcastle, perhaps Newcastle, he is someone that's worth looking at and worth hearing what he's got to say and in terms of what he can offer. Sorry,
can you imagine the reaction if Wales were to qualify for the World Cup?
Yeah.
And somebody like Bale was to come to us, how much Saudi would use that?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
With a World Cup based here in the Middle East.
Really good point. Good point.
And you talk about it's going to be free. It's a free transfer. He's a free agent, and
there's a lot of reasons why it makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I know might sound like a nonsense to a lot of people, but there's a lot of I can see things happening with it.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's on the table or not, that's another matter. That's obviously, from a transfer point of view, I know the club is exceptionally active at the minute.
Yeah.
On many, many fronts. And to answer a question on the thing, was Mehrdad flying to Faro from Gatwick when his flight got cancelled?
Apparently so. Yeah.
Aye. But the club's super active in ways. I think a lot of people are a little bit suffering from a little bit of ITK overload and a little bit of tiredness of all sorts bandying around. So let's not really stir the pot and add to that a little bit. But what I will say is that the names I'm getting thrown at me excite me, and if they excite me, I think they'll excite you.
Yeah, I think what also need to touch on is the fact that when we touched on it last week, that there'll be a plan. They'll be looking at a plan, and if one
fluid.
The next one moves up the line, one drops in. So, maybe let's say, for example, Nunez was your number one choice. Then you find out you can't get him, but you've got a number 2, 3, and 4, and Bale was your number 4. He now becomes your number 3. So you might want to talk to him, you might want to hear what's on offer. But then all of a sudden, up your number 2. And I think that's going to happen right across the midfield, and it's going to happen right across the strikers that we're trying to identify. And it's that blend, and it's the manager and the rest of them, and the Dan Ashworths of this world talking about where the club's going. And as you say, the commercial opportunities that the likes of PIFC, in terms of what it can offer the club on a grander scale, going to a Qatar World Cup and a Newcastle player playing, and possibly 2 if Trippier manages to stay fit and gets into the final 25. And I think somebody else pointed out there, we're going to have more substitutes next season. It's going to be 5 subs instead of 3. So that, again, squad management and where you want to head. And let's also not forget, and we'll throw this one in the mix, we've got some lovely golf courses up in the northeast as well, Keith, haven't we?
We have. They're the best. But you're going to, as far as the World Cup goes, you're going to have Gomerish. He's going to be playing. He's going to be in the World Cup. Nunez will be signed for us by then, and he'll be playing. We'll make 4 or 5 signings, before we get back, and they'll all play in the World Cup. So we might have 6, 7, 8 World Cup. And when we get rid of them 17 I talked about last week, there's a lot of gaps to fill.
That's true. That's true.
As always, we have Keith's favourite part of the show, and I know he needs to get away slightly earlier tonight. So here is part 2 of 2 Lookalikes. And as it's the Jubilee, our good friend decided to start with this. Albert, thank you very much for this. Steve Hasty through the ages. 1962 there, looking a bit shocked. 1972, looking a bit demure. 1982, looking a bit wistful. 1992, clearly had some new teeth sorted. In 2002, just looking straight down the camera. 2012, looking a bit mischievous. And in 2022, having a laugh at the 3 Amigos on a Friday night. So thanks for that, Albert. I'm sure that Steve enjoyed that tribute. This one was from Jimmy Moore. He said, "Tune lookalike, the Tune tipster and McLovin from Superbad," which is this person, which is very good. Thanks for that. Joe's not here tonight to defend himself. I'm sure he'll be catching up and have a laugh at that in due course. John Setterfield said, "Lookalike Olivia Giroud and Zac Efron from a new Amazon film." Very good. Yeah.
I saw that myself on the advert and thought that, I must admit.
He's getting into the routine. You see, this is the thing with Jack. He gets what the lookalikes is all about. He doesn't just make things up. Zach Aisbit sent this to lookalike Kurt Zuma and John Boyega, which is pretty good. The guy from Star Wars, and I like the way he's placed a cat in the middle of it, looking terrified. This one was from Albert. Ringer for Keith.
See what someone says like me.
Looks like Buster Blood Vessel. This one, Sam Chipperfield. Is this your poo face, Keith? He says.
Cheeky get. I tell you what, that Sam Chipperfield's got a lot to ask for, mate.
Your last is in 2 minutes. Sonny says, before taking on Masters in the Premier League, wore Keith fronted the band, right said Fred. I mean Fred.
Got the same figure, all the abs through.
All the abs through. Steve Bruce on Sport Bible this week. Somebody sent us that one. He's keeping busy after his departure from Newcastle. This was Sel from Daly. Says, "I'm currently on holiday and being asked to get involved with aqua aerobics by former Newcastle tune flop Manu Riviera. Good to see he's found a new career." I can't see him on there, but I'll take your word for it, mate. I hope you're having a good holiday. This one was from Ian. He says, "Watching some classic TV when I stumbled across someone familiar. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's on Twin Peaks, and there's Steve Hasty bound ranting over a settee, as he often does at home, much to his lass's annoyance.
Yeah.
This one was from Jimmy, lookalike Ronnie Gray and Joe Walker. We've had that. We've had that a few times, and there must be something in the air tonight because this one has been sent by Steve Owen, me and Phil Collins again. Thank you. It looks like a rather older Phil Collins. I preferred the younger version that somebody sent us. This is from James Douglas. He says, "Lookalike, what's Mitch doing at the Belgian Football Association?"
He's a ringer, him. That's absolute double that.
Very good. He's not that great. Mitch has kept his, he's kept his hair styled. Sports neglect as well. Which Boris Johnson and his last. I thought that was brilliant. The test card, absolutely brilliant. You've got to be of a certain vintage to remember that. This one, Gibbo and Randy Robin Asquith.
Yes. Gibbo will love that one.
Confessions of a Window Cleaner with Gibbo. Brilliant. This one as well. Two lookalike Supermac and Freddie Starr.
That's good, that is good.
It is.
There's a bit of thought went into this. Mitch, I included this because I've got no idea what it is.
It's the Grand Inquisitor from Star Wars.
Is it a lookalike of Keith?
No, it was somebody on Twitter taking a picture of a random bloke in a restaurant staring madly back down at the camera to say, any idea who this is, hashtag NUFC, because he thought it was a player coming in for signing. It was just some random bloke in a restaurant.
Bloody all right. We had loads, as you can see, this week. They've had to do two parts: a pregnant bloke emoji and a bloke with a beer. I mean, it's that emoji gets me every time. This one, Jacobs, Rees-Mogg, and Ugly Camel certainly likes to go to the far end of these lookalikes, but at least they're lookalikes. And he's got this one as well, Deborah Meaden and EO.
Oh, God.
Don't sue us, Deborah. Don't sue us. This one, Tom has his own way of doing it, as we know. Who's the guy on the left? One of them is
Januzaj, isn't it? Is it Januzaj that played for Man United? Went to Sunderland?
Yeah, correct. That's him.
Yeah.
Zabi Alonso and Jason Bateman. Very good.
Very good.
It's good, that.
And Pavel Nedved and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah. That's the same wig.
Very good. This one, that gets you back, Ben. That gets you back.
I was waiting for that.
Where's Wally and Ben Jacobs? There we go. Robert Lewandowski and Vernon Kay. That could almost be the same person.
Yeah, that's a good one, that.
When I got that off Tom, I had to double check. But yeah, brilliant. This one as well from Tom, Matt LeBlanc and Lukaze Fabianski. A little bit. That's probably the worst one you sent in, Tom. This one, Wayne Bennett, lookalike or impersonator?
Best of the week, that. Definitely
Brilliant.
Best of the week.
No, it's not, Steve. There's better than that. And they all involve you. And we're getting onto that now. Here we go. This one from Sam Chipperfield. Steve Hasty, have you been for a haircut?
No.
Okay. Albert, still continuing on the royal theme, said, just like to say, have a wonderful week, Your Majesty.
Yeah. Don't laugh at the hat.
We got off to a slow start, but then this one picked up. Albert says, Richie Sunak taking the urine out of Steve Hasty. I'll have to come back to that one for Keith, because Keith's internet is finished at the wrong time, and it's no good without Keith. But you like him to laugh at you, Steve, don't you? He gets a bit concerned.
Oh yeah.
But you do like him to laugh at you. This one looks like all the hype of Steve Hasty has got him a little modelling job with Argos.
I'll have the money.
This one. Steve H. Looks like David H. Mrs. Margaret Tyler HRH, Queen Elizabeth super fan. All right, so she's a super fan, and he reckons that you look like
our living room.
This one was from Mark Byers. Just said, you know who, Steve Wraith, and it is obviously you as a lion. It's got your haircut. I think that's what he's trying to suggest. This one, Carry On Dick, my lookalike attempt of Steve Hasty, says Denny Bensal. He's down as Sid James. And this one from Wayne, he says, is that Steve Hasty getting out of bed?
Yes. Simple as that, yes. It's like that every night now. Every
Lookalike for Friday, Steve Hasty and Don Powell from 70s rock group Slade.
That's never me, is it? No, it's Don Powell.
And this one, add the long white hair, and Steve Hasty looks like Colin Firth on the staircase.
No, he doesn't. What are you on about?
Seeing as though you're back, Keith, because I don't want you to miss out on this. Rishi Sunak taking the mick out of Steve Hasty. This one looks like Steve Hasty's got a modelling job at Argos. Then we have this one. Steve Hasty, superfan Margaret Taylor. Steve Hasty, this one from Mark. He says, the lion that looks like Steve Hasty. Look at the haircut on that, Keith. And this one, Steve Hasty in the Carry On film. He's gone again. He's gone again. His internet's struggling. We could have a full night of this. Okay, we've already done that one. So this one was sent in by Steve Wraith. I was watching the match actually, Steve, the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot to put this up. This was a Chelsea fan in the away end, which I thought just looked a little bit like you.
What?
This one was from, again, the same woman. Dan said, look like Nana Hasty ready for the Jubilee.
That's just a close-up of the other one.
Steve Hasty and the Simpsons. Somebody sent that in. I've got no idea who sent it in. Yeah, and we're down to the final ones. This one, guess who, says Albert?
No,
but we know who it is. Yeah, that's the best. That is a great one, but we've still got a couple more. This one, is this another Hasty lookalike?
What the?
We'll finish up with some normal ones, Steve, to give you a break. The Queen and the Prince. So that's Amanda Staveley and Mia Daz, which I thought was quite good. We had this one in as well. Leeds manager and Jeremy Kyle.
That's a good.
That's excellent. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That.
Yeah, really good one. This one, Tyrone Dobbs from Coronation Street, and I'm sure that's a female. Is that a female athlete?
Yes.
No idea who it is, but that is pretty good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
We've got this one. And I don't know why that's been sent in, but that's been sent in, and I'm trying to work it out.
So anybody? You've got Ronnie, Reggie, Charlie, and their mum.
And it wasn't sent because of the Cray connection. It was sent for lookalikes. So I'm not really sure if there's a lookalike in there or not. But anyway, somebody sent that. Thanks very much. We've got this one again, no name. Now, I'm sure that's the guy who played Howard Marks on the right.
Yes.
The actor.
Reese
Evans.
And the guy on the left is a cage fighter in the UFC. So that's a
good one. Scouser, isn't he?
Same person sent both of those, so thank you for that. This one, Michael Schumacher versus Eddie Howe.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, good one. I got sent this one, which I was debating whether to put in a troll of the week, but it wasn't trolling, so I decided to stick it in here. Simon Kennedy, bold Tory nonce. But it's also Steve Wraith. Look, I like Liberal for Benelong. So, Simon, you've got the unfortunate privilege of looking like me, which isn't a bad thing. This was sent in as a lookalike of me as well, but it was quite clearly not Ashley Cole.
No, that's Dean Austin, isn't it?
Yeah, but on Sky it had him down as Ashley Cole. This one, Sunderland owner and Benedict Cumberbatch from Albert.
That's good. That's brilliant. That.
Well done, Albert. And the winner is this one this week from Sutty. He went leaked pictures emerge of Geordie Dentist celebrating the NUFC takeover. That has got to be the most amount of lookalikes we have had in a week ever. So thank you very much for taking the time to crop and send them all. And we will have as many as we can get in again next week.
And here's me saying, you know what, only thing people are interested in is who we're going to buy in the transfer market. And God, that's just proved us totally wrong, hasn't it? They're all interested in lookalikes. It's going to keep it going for the rest of the close season.
They're more interested in dogs than footballers at the minute.
They are, and we've just got 1 minute left, and it's time to do this. Thank you, Hilly. Not bad for a bold Tory nonce. Great way to finish. We've had it on already, but that is our troll of the week. I'm back 10 o'clock tomorrow with Mick Lowes. Andy Griffin will be joining us around about 10:30. Sunday sees me and Holly on the show. Whatever you're doing for the Jubilee, have a great one. Have a great one, Mom and Mitch, Baldman and Steve Hasty. Have a great one. Take care, lads. God bless.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only